The old house stood on a hill, overlooking the town. It had been empty for years, and no one dared to go near it. It was said that the house was haunted by the ghosts of its former owners, who had all died in mysterious circumstances. One night, a group of teenagers decided to go to the house to see if the rumors were true. They snuck out of their homes and made their way up the hill, their hearts pounding with fear. As they approached the house, they could see that it was in a state of disrepair. The windows were boarded up, the paint was peeling, and the roof was sagging. The teenagers hesitated, but their curiosity got the better of them, and they stepped inside. The inside of the house was even worse than the outside. The furniture was covered in dust, the floors were creaky, and the air was thick with the smell of mold. The teenagers crept through the house, their flashlights casting eerie shadows on the walls. Suddenly, they heard a noise. They froze, their hearts in their throats. The noise came again, closer this time. It sounded like footsteps. The teenagers looked at each other, their eyes wide with fear. They knew they should run, but they were too scared to move. The footsteps came closer and closer, until they were right outside the room where the teenagers were hiding. The door slowly creaked open, and a figure stepped into the room. The figure was tall and thin, with long, white hair and pale skin. Its eyes were sunken and its teeth were sharp. It wore a long, black cloak that billowed around it like smoke. The teenagers screamed and ran for their lives. The figure chased after them, its laughter echoing through the house. The teenagers ran out of the house and into the night, but the figure was still behind them. It chased them through the woods, its laughter getting louder and louder. Finally, the teenagers reached the edge of the woods. They could see the lights of their town in the distance. They ran towards the lights, their lungs burning and their legs aching. The figure was still behind them, but it was getting slower. The teenagers reached the town and ran down the main street, their screams waking the sleeping residents. The figure finally stopped chasing them and disappeared into the darkness. The teenagers collapsed on the ground, exhausted and terrified. They had escaped the house, but they knew they would never be the same. The memory of the figure would haunt them for the rest of their lives.